I was going along checking, this is soft, this is a little hard. Use the stiff stuff for making cups. But when I teach centering, one of the goals is to keep my wrists straight. I still get my kids doing this, bending their wrist and doing a lot of that, and I watch professional potters do it. I just know how. I mean, I've got carpal tunnel syndrome. I know it. I will go to sleep and my hands are numb, but I'm not going through the surgery until it gets to where I can't work. So what I've really practiced is keeping the wrist straight and catching the clay. So the clay is pulling against my hand. And what I point out is you can actually almost center with one hand, just letting the clay push up against the hand like that. It wants to go away, and you're bringing it back in center. So coming straight across by pushing and pulling, and I'm not doing a lot of work, this is sort of my holding thing. I can push directly across and bring it up. So they're I'm a little bit offset, but the pressure point here and here is where a lot of the pushing and pulling, and that allows me to do bigger balls of clay. I'm not into throwing 25-pound pots. I'd like to, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. But if I'm working with a lot of clay, I really want to move that clay up and down. Get it up.
So like your big bowl on the table, how many pounds of clay did you?
It's about 18, probably about 18 pounds. About 2/3 of a bag, 25-pound block of clay. And I always do those along with plates and platters on bats so that I don't have to worry about warping them too much. But if I'm throwing tall, narrow pieces, I almost always just work right on the wood head. Because most of my bats are warped and they don't sit flat, off center. All right, so this clay is a little bit softer, so we're getting a lot more stuff. Did we ever figure out where Nsika is next year? Did you ever?
Like,
someone said Providence, Rhode Island. That would be way cool.
I feel like I heard, but I don't remember where. But I feel like it was up north somewhere.
Something like going up north in the middle of February,
Yeah,
first week of March, whatever.
Yeah, really.
I went to Nsika National Ceramics Conference in Rochester.
Ooh.
It snowed continuously. I was there for 5 days. It never stopped snowing. It didn't build up. You went outside. It was always snowing. That's why Rochester is all built inside. You know, they have those two-story buildings, and there's the walkways, covered walkways between every store. You can go for like 20 blocks and never go outside. It's pretty neat.
How thick bottoms do you?
I try to leave between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch when I'm not working on a bat. So when I cut it, I'm notorious for not leaving enough clay for my cups, and so I have some of my cups have real thin bottoms. So what I did there is I had quite a chunk that was overlapping, so I was just moving that chunk out of the way so that I can come down now and start to move that clay. I didn't quite get it centered, so we'll just recenter it like that.
So you just recentered your clay while it was already open?
Yeah. It wasn't that far off. I mean,
okay.
You have to hold your hand really still and push hard, both inside and out.
Right.
If I can stabilize it, and what you'll find is maybe 1/4 of an inch on the top, because I just basically pulled that off center clay. The clay was all the way down at the bottom. I just moved it up to here.
Okay.
Easier to cut it off.
So that way you can just run the needles more around and get it.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe too early to be throwing this big too. I'm a morning person, but I usually do all that other stuff in the morning, like kiln loading and trimming and glazing, and I won't start throwing until after lunch. And it probably has something to do with the amount of caffeine that I imbibe in the morning. So I know my limits. And that's something my sculpture teacher, of all people, does this. He did this. He when he came up, he always brought his finger over the top because he always threw off center. I mean, like big floppy pots, and that was the way he kept the rims from flopping over. Whenever I've been doing it ever since I watched him do it one time, and it's like, oh, I like that. So the key to this is just going slow. I've got a young man, he's a sophomore, who's an amazing thrower. He had 4 years of high school pottery. Sometimes he's just whipping them out, just pulling the walls up so fast, and he tears them off. You get halfway up, and the thing will just twist and tear right off in his hand. Not slowing down, watching what he's doing, taking some breaths. Collaring, on the other hand, I do quickly because I don't. Sometimes if you're doing a tall piece and you start culling at the bottom, the top starts really flopping around. So, and move pretty quickly on that. So I'm feeling that thickness of the clay. Figure out where it's going. I haven't figured out what I'm going to make yet. I know it's going to be another vase. But,
really tall teapot.
Really tall teapot. Actually, I made I make tankards, these big tall cylinders, usually about this, and I made several of them that were 18 inches for those who like to drink a lot of foamy liquid.
Milk.
Milk, yeah. Iced tea tankards is what I would call them. Thinking that, college kids would really like these. And what's funny,
Paint them red and bright solo.
2 years before I sold the first one, it's like, I didn't think they would be so popular, but they're so heavy. Once you put about 60 ounces of liquid in them plus the clay, it's like, it's a two-handed cup. So often when I'm working like this, I'll also throw with a rib. Because this clay is much softer than this that I just used. And so I'll come down, and on the inside, I've got my hand turned on its side, and then on the outside, what I'm doing is just I'm compressing the clay more than making it taller. I'll come up and I'll show you what I'm doing when I get to the top here. So I'm literally using the side of my hand as I come up, and that takes some of the slip off the outside, and if there's any wobble or any finger marks that I don't like, I can use this. A friend Tom, who I went to school with at RISD, he throws a lot of his work just with ribs. Because that way, because he works in porcelain, he doesn't have to put any water on the pots. But it is really helpful when you're using a softer clay not to add too much water. But now we need water. So what's the hardest thing you've had to learn in here so far? You guys, what do you struggle with?
Hand building faces.
Can't do those on the wheel very well.
I believe in you. Flat surfaces, like the plates and things like that.
Yeah.
And like really perfect bowls. Yeah. It's
Always making things tall, even
Yeah.
successfully.
Yeah. Well, if I were to cut this in half, what you would find is it's even down to about 2 inches below, and then on the bottom 2 inches, it's double thick, so that it can support. I'm just a believer that if you got to trim off that extra support clay to keep the piece centered and keep it even, then do so. So I was going to bring this piece, but I only had one box. So.
If anyone wants to see this video later.
I was gonna ask you to upload it somewhere. For reference.
Cameron needed a demo video, so I'll put it on Facebook, so if anyone wants to friend me on Facebook, that's cool. It's the same name on my box, Jizzy.
You will tag me, H-O-U-G-H.
Yes, sir.
First name Michael, and I'll be able to see it too. I actually used to Facebook for a lot of things in my class, so it's I do with my seniors. We have our own group, so because I do a senior capstone class called Professional Practices that focuses on the business of art. And the conference y'all have coming up, in fact, they're all supposed to come. We should have a big group here where I teach them copyright law and how to do their taxes and how to start a small business, and what do you do with your art if you're an art major when you leave. And particularly with potters, we go over and see people like Alan at Blue Ridge Pottery, and he goes through his whole business plan and how he sets it up and how he makes money or not make money. And yeah, he had, when I sent students to him to work as paid interns. He had a full paid internship program for a number of years and had a bunch of my kids go there. And then when the economy decided to become less strong, he had to basically lay off everybody, and plus his two daughters. He had to fire both of his daughters, so who worked at the pottery. So now it's just he and his wife, still keeping it.
Where's that at?
It's it's on 33, just on the backside of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So if you get down to the very bottom of the National Forest, there's a sign on the right that says Blue Ridge Pottery. He's got rental cabins. He's got a wedding chapel. He's actually a certified
Minister.
he's not a minister. He's
Ordainer? Is it?
well, Justice of the Peace. So he can.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so he does anywhere from 6 to 60 weddings a year. It's pretty, because he's got this gorgeous garden. One of the neat things as a businessman that he's done is you can buy a wedding package, because he's got this huge house for the reception, and in there, if you, for a certain amount of money, all the place settings, you know how you get a little thing of rice or candy, a little gift for people, you actually get one of his pieces of pottery for each of the guests. Yeah.
Aww.
Pretty expensive wedding, but yeah, he does little, favors. That's the word I was thinking. Yeah. So I think, boy, what a great sales technique. Get your pottery out there, you take people to the pottery, marry them, then sell them your pots. So this is what I do in my class. That's what we talk about. What are the different ways of doing what you love and hopefully getting somebody to pay for it. So this is just this is that 24 roses or calla lilies kind of vase. To give you an idea of throwing a little bit taller. And of course, save the clay, give it to Liz or whoever's running the pug mill for that day by the time you're done. Now this one might not come off. We'll find out. I usually, when I'm throwing large pieces, put these on bats also.
Wire, right here.
Okay. I always get it caught on stuff, so I try to keep it out of the direct line of fire. We'll see if it lifts. If it doesn't lift, well, this will be a good one to recycle. So hopefully it's thick enough on the bottom that you can just walk right across and set it down there.
Well, that's exciting.
It dwarfs that one, so that's I was going for that.
Can you throw a piece that you stand up for? I've never seen it done.
Maybe at the end,
Okay.
we can do that. Yeah, because that's the big ball of clay. We'll see how my back does.